All right. Fun time. So, huh, I got some time today. First time in a while. Uh, yeah. So, this dude, this channel, whatever, fuck you want to call it. There's a little bit of story here, man. About the time this guy did this, I remember getting a comment in one of my videos, man. One of my Jimmy Nixon videos, just out of the blue, man. This guy just comments on an old ass video that's been around for 3, 4 months at that time or something. I don't know. But somebody comments and says, asks if I have the Jimmy Nixon letters so you can see them. And I thought that's weird, man. I mean, we just spent like all this time debunking these fucking things, and all of a sudden, and they're debunked pretty fucking hard, man. I think, shit, my ashtray over here. I think did a pretty good job of proving that those are bullshit. I don't think anybody really believes that there's anything behind those. But whatever, you know. So this video comes out, man, and there's actually a comment from me under it now. But the first one I put down, I don't know if it didn't take, if it was a problem, or if this guy deleted it. But the second one's still there, at least as far as I can see. I can see it, so it's got a couple likes on it. So I guess yeah, other people can see it too. But I don't know. I was interested. This video he did was very interesting. Was This video was actually really good up until a certain point. Went off the fucking rails, and damn, went off the rails hard too, man. So yeah, I was just gonna watch again. I just felt like watching this again, and I think a lot of people probably haven't seen this thing. When's the? Actually, I got butt screens up here. What's the date on this thing? 8 months ago. Yeah, 8 months ago. So yeah, this was after all the Jimmy Nixon stuff was kind of dead and buried.
On October 1st, 2017, a little after 10 p.m., the first shots were fired into the crowd at the Route 91 Harvest Festival in Las Vegas. It was the worst mass shooting in American history. While country music fans danced the night away, Stephen Paddock rained hell down from his luxury hotel room high above the crowd. There were around 22,000 people there. I was one of them.
So it's interesting because this is an eyewitness account. And but 22,000, bro. Yeah, I think it was probably a lot less than that. 22,000 tickets sold. Yeah, I think it was a lot less than 22,000.
Back in 2017, I was working as a touring lighting director with a country act, and as fate would have it, we had a stop in Las Vegas on October 1st, 2017. The Route 91 Festival was on its third and final night. My job was to run lights for the band from what we call front of the house. It's an area located about 80 to 100 feet from the stage, out in the middle of the crowd. It's where all the audio, lighting, and video is controlled from. We do it from out there because if it sounds and looks good to us, it will probably sound and look good to you. So we are very much out in the crowd. Between front of house and the stage are two long runs of barricade, creating a sort of protected walkway for folks like me working on the tour, festival workers, security, and anyone else with backstage access to get back and forth between front of house and the stage without having to battle through the crowd.
Okay, so regardless of me trashing this guy, because I am going to trash this thing, it's got some interesting info in it. And that was kind of cool. I mean, he explained what the barricades are for, what those little barriers are for, that people are jumping over, stuff like that. He describes all that. He defines all that. And there's some information in here I didn't even know about, man. That was actually kind of interesting that he'll get into. But yeah, I mean, I believe him. He was working there. Sounds legit. His story sounds pretty legit.
Standing out at front of house facing the stage, I could see the Mandalay Bay towering just behind it and to the right. And to give you a little more context, also from that vantage point, standing at front of house facing the stage, if I looked over to my left, just across the street from and slightly in front of the left side of the stage, I could see our tour bus parked in the lot with all the other buses that were there that day. Our bus was parked right on the fence line closest to the street and very close to the stage. So, stage, front of house, bus, Mandalay Bay. Now, fast forward to that night. We were not the headlining act that night. We played just before the headlining act, Jason Aldean. Now, when our show was over, we began changing over.
Now, I don't remember what the act was before Jason Aldean. Was it that Big and Rich? Is it Big and Rich? I don't remember. I'm not really a country guy, man. Let's do a little bit since this, but not a big country guy. So, guessing he worked with Big and Rich. I don't know. Could be wrong. I'm sure someone can remember.
Over and moving our gear off stage to make room for Aldean. Right about at the top of Aldean's show, I was done with my workday and made the decision to go back out to front of house to catch some of the set. As a lighting director, I wanted to see how everything looked, the lighting, the set, etc. And
this homie, man, if he is the guy that commented on that channel, that means he knows about my channel. It means he might watch this. And, if you want to copyright this, go ahead, man. I really don't give a shit. Fucking matter to me, not hurt me at this point. I haven't used this channel in a very long time. And I actually have other channels that have been doing pretty well. Doing other things, completely unrelated.
As I made my way down the barricade walkway to front of house, I saw there were many press photographers blocking up the path, so I shimmied my way through them to the front of house riser just behind. After about 30 seconds into the first song of Aldean's set, I thought, well, I feel like I've seen what I came here to see. I think I'd like to go back to the bus now. As I said, my workday was done, and I just wanted to get out of the hustle and bustle of the crowd and relax after a long day. But
not an Aldean fan. All right, let's go.
The thought of fighting my way back through that line of photographers felt discouraging. So I opted to stay till the end of the third song, which I knew is the industry standard limit for press photographers to get their shots. After that, they had to disperse and I would be free to head back to the bus for the night. But then...
Oh, can you imagine the conspiracies if that would have gotten out earlier? Back when everybody cared about this? Holy shit. Why were all those photographers there? Why were there any pictures taken? Oh my God. We'd never hear the end of that shit. But, this guy's got to have interesting perspective.
Somewhere at the beginning of the second song, something told me to go. I did fight my way through the photographers, making my way down the barricade path again, behind the stage, and finally across the street to the bus. Once on the bus, I was happy to see my good friend Zeke was sitting there watching Scarface on the satellite TV in the front lounge. I grabbed a bag of chips and a bowl of salsa, and
imagine watching Scarface in the middle of this shit. In the middle of this. Watching Scarface, that's crazy. That was a hell of a pick.
Joined him. Moments later, another of our crew members walked onto the bus real quick to grab something he needed back out on the stage to finish packing up the truck. As he opened the bus door to leave and make his way back across the street to the stage, he quickly stopped, popped his head back into the front lounge and said, "Did you hear that? Did that sound like gunshots?" As his words were still hanging in the air, we were all suddenly overcome by the sound of a loud barrage of rapid gunfire.
You're watching Scarface and you're asking about gunshots? Okay. All right, dude. That was something that was like, to me, I was like, what? Really? Yeah, you're hearing gunshots. Fuck, that movie's full of them.
We immediately closed and locked the doors, pulled down the shades, and turned off the lights. We then went into...
I mean, these guys knew immediately, it sounds like, that there was shooting going on. If this guy's recalling everything and, correctly, then, he's... they knew their gunshots almost immediately. That's better than most.
to what we call Bunk Alley. It's the middle section of the tour bus that houses the bunks we all sleep in while traveling down the interstates at night. There are no windows in this section of the bus. We got down on the floor and waited it out. More and more of our band and crew ran from where they were at the venue to the relative safety of the bus. Some of them had blood on them from other concert goers. Some of them brought scared members of the audience with them.
So we jumped dramatically in this, and one thing that never made sense to me in this guy's story, and I mean, I don't know, man, but you know, I mean, he's jumping so fast from we were watching Scarface to did you hear that sound to we locked the doors to bloody people are coming into the bus. But you know, if you lock the doors of the bus, how are people coming in, man? Like, what the fuck? You just like so. I mean, I don't know, man. I'm second guessing this. I'm Monday morning quarterbacking this shit, but you know, someone doesn't sound smart here. You know, you hear gunshots. You say, "Are those gunshots?" You lock the door, but then somebody comes knocking. You open the door, man. What the fuck? You're crazy, man. But yeah, that was a hell of a watch party for Scarface.
All of us piled together in the dark bunk alley, not knowing exactly what was happening outside. While the phone calls were flying out to loved ones, letting them know the predicament we were in, I pictured in my mind what was going on out there. It sounded like there was a hit squad outside with multiple shooters, like the one from Scarface that eventually took out Tony Montana in the De Palma film. Now, during the ordeal, which seemed like it lasted for...
I love how he had to throw the director in there. Beautiful, man. Beautiful.
Forever, I fluctuated between a kind of survival mode of hanging on till it passed and feeling hopeless, like this may be it. Perhaps there is no way out of this for me, you know? It was scary. And thankfully...
What do you mean between those two, bro? They're kind of one and the same, man. I mean, yeah, you are fucking hopeless and you're stuck there. You're not going to move. So... yeah, I don't know. I don't know why you're saying you're stuck between two things. You're actually in two things. Well, whatever. I don't know. Those are one thing.
Everyone on that bus, all the band and crews performing at the festival that night survived. Since that day, whenever I tell this story, people always comment on how lucky I was and how I could have been killed. Had I not made the decision to leave front of house when I did, who knows? And as scary as it was, I was lucky. I was on the bus the whole time. I always have to remind myself that I never had to run for my life, but a lot of people did, and a lot of people didn't make it. Why did this happen? Newly released FBI files might hold the answers we've...
All right, you ready? It's about to go off the fucking rails. This guy's about to give us a motive. And it's really stupid, but here we go.
Been looking for. I'm Chris. Thanks for listening to my story. I hope you'll stick around with us for the rest of it. Let's recap.
I'm sticking around, bro. Yes, I am.
It did feel like forever, but in reality, it only lasted 10 minutes. That's how long it took for one deranged man to change thousands of lives forever. 58 people gone, over 500 others wounded. 2 more victims would die years later from complications. When police finally breached his hotel room, they found...
So that's interesting to me, man. This guy's keeping up with it, you know. So he knows that the 2 people died later, you know, within a few years of this due to complications from, you know, injuries they got that night. So he knows, and I believe it's up to 61 now. I don't even think it's 60 anymore. I think it's 61, but my understanding. But yeah, I mean, the 60 was kind of common knowledge, but you know, you kind of had to be following this thing to understand that. Now, maybe he just did his research at the last minute. Maybe he did all his research and, you know, maybe he really was there, did all his research the last day or whatever the fuck before this and found, you know, the 60 people. But I don't know. It just seems like that's not something that's the common knowledge thing.
The shooter dead by his own bullet, surrounded by an arsenal of military-grade weapons. Everyone who was at the Route 91 Harvest Festival in Las Vegas is permanently changed in...
Here's where we have issues, man. What the fuck is a military-grade weapon, dude? What the fucking dude had some fucking nades up there, some fucking C4, some shit like that, fucking little Claymore action. I mean, what the fuck? What's military-grade fucking weaponry? What military-grade shit did this guy had? He had a funnel with a fucking hose, man, you know, and a snorkel. I mean, that you buy at freaking Big Five. Yeah, I'm not buying the military grade bullshit. I don't know about that. And I think a lot of comments down below actually were fucking hounding them over that shit. But whatever, we'll move on. Not a big deal.
One way or another.
You know who he voted for by saying something stupid like that, though. He's definitely not a two-way guy.
Yet the burning question on everybody's mind is why? Why did this man decide to massacre hundreds of strangers on October 1st, 2007?
Why does anybody kill anybody, bro? Like, you know, but he is going to try to go through a motive here. Okay, let's hear it.
Before that night, the most memorable thing about him were his quirks. He had strong reactions to smells. He wore gloves around the house and asked hotel.
Wore gloves around the house. See, I thought this guy might have had some inside information when he started saying shit like this. Gloves around the house, man. Like, we knew he wore gloves, but around the house, man. I mean, did he wear them driving? I mean, we don't fucking know anything like that. I mean, I think his brother said some bullshit like he used to always wear a lot of gloves around, but
staff to clean his room with water, saying cleaning products gave him a rash. He complained about.
So I don't know about that either, man. Made the staff clean it with water. See, I'm wondering if this guy has some inside information that people don't know about. That well, other people just don't have. That he talked to somebody or something like that. Because I mean, I never heard that he forced him to clean it with water because you know, bleach or whatever the hell else they use. Gave him rashes. I don't know about that.
About feeling tired and sick, but his doctor found nothing wrong with him. He recommended an antidepressant, but Stephen was afraid of medication and only agreed to an anti-anxiety prescription. He wasn't.
Yeah, see, I mean, he knows, he's got a lot of information that I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know if you're telling me the truth here, if you know something, or you don't know shit, and you're making this shit up off of what you read or reading into stuff that you read in the reports. I don't know. But I mean, the fact that he said military grade fucking weaponry kind of makes me wonder if this guy knows what he's talking about.
In your face political or religious. He didn't light up a room, but you wouldn't necessarily go out of your way to avoid him either. You could say Stephen Paddock was an all-around nobody who became the most hated man in America.
I mean, he almost sounds like he knows the guy, but you know, like I said, he's just reading shit.
On September 25th, 2017, he checked into his free suite.
Like, see, I want to know who that guy is. Like, he shook somebody's hand, man. Why don't we have that guy's fucking statement, man? What the fuck's that? Or the person behind the counter took his money right there, man. That's what I want to hear.
At the Mandalay Bay Casino. Cameras followed him for the next 6 days.
Hey, what about that chick, man? Where's her statement? Like, what the fuck's that about? Like, how does she know him? How well does she know him?
Security had no idea they were tracking the final moments of America's worst mass murderer. This story really begins on September 9th when Stephen called to reserve his room at the hotel. He asks for a room on the 21st floor, but it's not available. On September 25th, he arrives at the VIP.
Okay, I think, oh my God. He's going into some weeds here. I think that's accurate. But again,
counter around 3 p.m. When he checks into his suite on the 32nd floor, he asks which direction it faces. Room number 32-135 is a large corner room at the end of the hallway with a great view of the Vegas Strip and the Country Music Festival across the street. There are only two ways into Stephen's suite. You can go through the main double doors or through the adjoining room, 32-134. To ensure complete privacy, Stephen books that room too. His checkout date is October 2nd. He spends the next 2 hours eating at...
Does he have the rooms right? God, man, I can't remember. Yeah, I think 134 is 134. Yeah, 133 would be across the hall, right? So, yeah, I think he does have them right. God, it's been too long, man. I don't even remember the room numbers anymore. For some reason, I'm all screwed up on this.
At a sushi restaurant and dropping off small bags in his room. It isn't until 5 p.m. that Stephen begins loading bags of guns into his suite. He pulls up in his minivan and loads 5.
So how do you know he's loading the guns at that point? Like, how do you know those bags are filled with the guns? How do you know that's not like his, how do you know it's not just ammunition or something like that? I mean, just junk, all the shit that he brought up there. I mean, the snorkel, all that stuff. I mean, that hose had to take a fucking something all by itself to carry up there. Probably in that stupid cooler. I don't know. Whatever. This guy's just like, he's interpreting. It sounds like this guy has a narrative that he created by reading the reports, and he's going off of that narrative, which kind of bothers me. I don't really like that.
Heavy suitcases onto the bellhop's cart. Usually, guests will venture off while their bellman brings their luggage up. Stephen chooses to stay and rides up with the bellman in the service elevators. According to management, this isn't unusual, especially for high rollers with valuable items.
Yeah, it was 134, 135. For some reason, I'm thinking 129 was one of the rooms, but I don't know why I have that damn number stuck in my head. I think it's 29. That was the room where Campos was in front of when he got shot at, supposedly. I think that's why it's stuck in my head. But yeah, I haven't looked at this stuff in so long that for some reason 129 was stuck in my head. But again, I think it's because I keep thinking that's where Campos was sitting.
Items. Of course, the bellhop has no idea those valuable items are military-grade weapons. Stephen spends most of his night upstairs. He leaves the...
What is a military-grade weapon, bro? Like, what the fuck, man? I mean, those are civilian-grade weapons, dude. If anything, you would say those are civilian weaponry. I mean, they're... The military, I don't know. I mean, does the military even, like, issue AR-15s? AR-10s? I mean, do they even issue those? I didn't think they did. I think they had their own kind of thing going on. But, yeah, I don't know, man. That drives me nuts. This dude, man, doesn't know what he's talking about, and that's a problem.
The hotel around...
Because the video sounds really good, dude. It's really well edited. It's a good video. He does a good job. But, yeah, man, I mean, his rhetoric is not... He needs to script this better.
9:40 with 2 bags in tow. He drives away to spend the night at his house in nearby Mesquite, Nevada, a small city of about 20,000 people on the Arizona border. Stephen doesn't return to Las Vegas until 8 p.m. on Tuesday. At some point during the day...
Oh, did he say the bellhop did it? I don't remember. Day one. So I didn't hear what he said about that. So day one, he goes in there, he checks in, he's got his laptop. That's the only thing he brings up to the room. And then he comes back down, I believe, moves his car, if I remember right on that day. I'd have to look it up, but I think he moved his car and then brought a bunch of more shit in. So I believe he parked in regular parking, the structure, came in, got the room, went back out, went and had lunch or whatever the fuck, I believe that day, went back out, got the car, brought it to the valet so that he could dump all the bags off and then have the bellhop. So he did have bags, I believe, that first day brought up to the room. I believe the bellhop did take luggage that first day. But again, you know, originally he went and checked into the room, dumped his laptop up there, I believe. I don't remember if we have any evidence of that or not, but then came back down, if I remember right. If I remember everything right, dude, which, fuck, my memory sucks balls. But that's what I remember from it.
Day, he wires $50,000 to a bank account in the Philippines where his girlfriend, 62-year-old Mary Lou Danley, is visiting her family. Stephen had surprised...
All right, so there's a little bit of narrative, man. That's something I'd expect in a newspaper or something. Yeah, you know, he wired $50,000 to the Philippines, but I don't know if we ever had any confirmation that she actually got that money. Although, I don't know, says I think she kind of almost admitted to it because she said that she thought it was so she could buy a house. So I'm guessing she did. But I think later he says it was one of Stephen's bank accounts.
her with a plane ticket 2 weeks earlier. Before going back to the Mandalay, Stephen stops at the Ogden, a condominium complex in the downtown area. He had another reservation at the Ogden for the same week. His room overlooked a different event, the Life is Beautiful Festival. This festival, however, was held in the streets. It wasn't as accessible as the Harvest Fest near Mandalay Bay. Stephen may have...
Now that's some bullshit, man. I hate it when people say stupid shit like that, because that Life is Beautiful, the attendance on that is way fucking higher. Way higher. And there's a lot more fucking people. I know it's a lot more spread out. It's a bigger fucking venue, but dude, I mean, there's a lot more people that go to that fucking thing. And I don't remember, but it was quite a bit, dude. I mean, I don't know if it was 3 times or something like that, but I looked it up a long time ago, and there was a lot more people that Life is Beautiful. So yeah, the whole idea of, oh, well, you know, all the excuses for why he didn't do anything there. It's like, I don't know, man.
Used the Life is Beautiful Festival for initial planning. Now, could it have been a possible target? The answer to that question died with him.
7 more suitcases to his suite. Again, he uses the service elevator. He tips the bellman, who had no way of knowing these cases were packed with guns and ammunition.
Later that night, Stephen returns to Mandalay Bay. Another bellhop helps him move 7 more bags up to his room. This brings the total number to 12 suitcases. 1 man, 2 rooms, 12 bags.
So I'm not even gonna count the bags, man. I don't feel like doing that right now. But you know, I'll take his word for it.
By October 1st, that number would nearly double.
Gambles for 8 hours until morning. Paddock was a regular at the Mandalay, and several casino hosts knew him. The videos show their interactions as being completely normal.
All right, just because you brought it up, when we're done here, we'll check that first day. We'll check the first day, see what happened.
And in no way alarming.
Stephen gambles through the night. You can even see casino hosts interacting with him and shaking his hand. Nothing seems out of the ordinary. Stephen
You make me do some work, though, man.
spends most of Wednesday, the 27th, in his room. He leaves later that night with 2 large suitcases. He pops into the Ogden, then drives home to Mesquite.
I mean, I can nitpick all this stuff, you know, like go through the logs and stuff like that. I don't remember what happened on the 27th. I believe the 30th or 31st or whatever the fuck was the day that I was really mainly looking at when I was doing all this.
On Thursday morning, he makes a stop at Guns and Guitars for 1 more weapon. He visits a gun range to test out his new toy, then wires another $50,000 to his Filipino bank account. He drives back to Mandalay, where he brings 3 more suitcases to his room. He also brings up...
See, that's where we're running a weird narrative, man, to his Filipino bank account. Like, that's a weird narrative, bro. You're kind of pushing your own narrative at this point.
a white container, but it's unclear what's inside.
Okay, the white container I believe he's talking about being carried up to the room is the ice chest. And yeah, you're right. There's no idea what's fuck's inside that, because even through the fucking breach, blowing all that shit all over the fucking room, that flimsy ass fucking container stayed in fucking place, which is crazy.
He gambles through the night and into Friday morning. He buys snacks, talks with staff, and plays his favorite video poker machines. The Route 91 Harvest Festival opens on Friday the 29th. From Stephen's room, he can see the back of the main stage and the crowd dancing in front of it. He spends most of that night in his room. If we had to guess, he's adjusting his sights and planning his next few moves.
Okay, 29th, so he has room 134 at this point. He didn't mention that, but I mean, like I said, I could nitpick this all day long. Yeah, I know. I always wonder what was in the ice chest, man, because the ice chest didn't move, dude. Those ice chests, I mean, weighs probably what in the ounces, and it did not get blown away by the breach. It's crazy. All the wind rushing through there and stuff that you could see blowing the curtains and shit like that, man. Fuck. Yeah, it didn't fucking move. So there's something in there. Anyways, I don't know. But I think the white container he's talking about is the ice chest.
At one point, he orders room service to both rooms. He asks the staff to leave the food carts behind. It's an odd request, but they do it. He drives back to
Food cart. carts. He ordered room service twice. So, yeah, this was one of those instances.
To Mesquite and returns to Vegas with 2 more suitcases. On September 30th, Stephen hangs do not disturb signs on both rooms. He makes another round trip and returns with 2 more bags, bringing the total to 19 suitcases. He gambles through the night and goes to sleep around 7 in the morning. Around noon on Sunday, October 1st, Stephen heads to the parking garage. He comes back through the front doors with his last 2 bags for a grand total of 21. The last time cameras catch Stephen is around 12:30 p.m. on October 1st. He steps off the elevator on the 32nd floor and begins his master plan. So, who is this madman? As the New York Times puts it, Stephen Paddock was a walking contradiction, a gambler who left nothing to chance. He owned several houses in multiple states, yet hardly stayed in any of them. He lived the good life of a high-stakes Vegas gambler, yet he drove a used minivan and preferred Domino's Pizza and Taco Bell to fancy restaurants.
Domino's Pizza. Now, I've heard Taco Bell, but I know the Taco Bell thing, I think, came from somebody saying they saw him at the Taco Bell next to the Wahlburgers or whatever. But, yeah, I don't know, man. Where are you getting this fucking info, dude?
He wasn't on social media, yet he stared at video poker screens all night and slept all day. Stephen was one of 4 sons born to Irene and Patrick Paddock between the 1950s and 60s.
And, yeah, you're right. Yeah, the ice chest, yeah, the top was on the floor. I think in all the fucking debris, if I remember right. And yeah, the ice chest itself didn't move. It was sitting on top of that. Was that a refrigerator? I think. Yeah, it was just sitting there and just chilling.
They were a lower middle class family from Southern California, but he was mostly raised by his mother. You see, Patrick Paddock wasn't like most dads. Patrick, aka Benjamin Hoskins, was a career criminal and pseudo-famous bank robber. He was on the FBI's most wanted list until his arrest when Stephen was 7. He ended up escaping from prison and lived for almost a decade under a fake name until they caught up to him again. According to his brother, Stephen was the most boring and least violent boy in the family. He was a numbers guy, analytical, the kind of guy who thought 2 or 3 moves ahead. As a kid,
According to who? I'm sorry. I don't like rewinding this shit, but I'm going to rewind this because I want to know what he just said there.
First guy, analytical, the kind of guy who thought 2 or 3 moves.
Come on. Nah, I didn't go far enough back. Let's see.
Stephen was the most boring and least
No. Who said he was the most boring?
fake name until they caught up to him again. According to his brother, Stephen was the most boring and least violent boy in the
According to his brother, where did we get that from? Where do we hear his brother? Which brother? Is he talking about Bruce? Did Bruce say he was a boring dude? I thought Bruce said he wanted to be in the FBI and shit.
the family. He was a numbers guy, analytical, the kind of guy who thought 2 or 3 moves ahead. As a kid, Stephen was sick of being poor. Their mother hardly earned enough on a secretary's salary to raise them alone. Making as much money as possible became his life's mission.
See, this guy, like, stuff like that, dude. You know, is this guy making this shit up? Like, it became his life's mission to not be poor? I mean, I get it. It's kind of everybody's life mission, but I mean, what the fuck, dude? Like, where'd you get that information, dude? How does this guy know the psychology of Stephen Paddock? It's weird, man. It's weird.
He did a stint as a postal worker. Then he worked for the IRS auditing defense contractors. He dabbled in the aerospace industry, but that wasn't as lucrative as he thought. Finally, he discovered real estate and all its fortunes. He began buying, refurbishing, and renting properties in poorer areas of Los Angeles. His tenants thought of Stephen as a big-hearted landlord. When someone complained about him raising the rent, he offered to split the difference. He knew all his renters by name and taught himself how to repair plumbing and air conditioning issues.
See, what does this guy know, dude? Where is he getting all this shit, dude? Does this guy have some FOIAs or some bullshit that we haven't seen? I don't understand where he's getting all this, right? He knows the psychology of Steve. He sounds like he was buddies with him or some bullshit. I mean, he fucking knows way too much about this fucking dude that I haven't seen.
Stephen hit pay dirt when he bought and flipped a 110-unit building in Texas for $8.3 million. He had enough money to buy planes and take flying lessons. He bought.
So Texas, he's talking about Grand Central Apartments, I believe, that did get renovated, but did he make $8 million off that? I don't know. I'd have to check on that. I know he didn't make $8 million off that because he bought that for a heavy price, but I don't know how much money he actually made off that.
More properties and structured his business so his whole family would profit. He even set his mother up in her own private apartment off one of his many buildings. But what he spent most of his money on.
So this dude's like rich, right? Man, this guy, dude. I mean, okay, so what he's describing as Stephen Paddock is this rich dude, or this dude that was poor or grew up poor and made his life's mission to be rich, and then he was being a philanthropist for his family by, well, I guess that's a bad term, but basically he was helping out his family by including him into his business and stuff like that. But he throws his mom in a fucking apartment. And this guy even said, you know, he's renting these or buying these ghetto ass fucking buildings and stuff like that, which if you look at the Los Angeles stuff that he bought, yeah, they're in the fucking ghetto for sure. The one in Texas, I don't think was, but nevertheless, it's just weird. The narrative spin here is fucking weird. And I'm trying to figure out where is this guy getting half of this fucking information?
On was guns and gambling. Stephen began buying guns in 1982. During the LA riots of the 90s, he stood atop one of his buildings, armed to the teeth and ready to shoot anyone who threatened his.
So how does he know that, dude? How does he know where Stephen Paddock was during the LA riots? What the fuck, man? Like, who the fuck is this guy? This guy, like, he knows way too much about Paddock to be saying some shit like this. Unless he's got some information from somewhere that nobody else has, because I haven't heard any of this bullshit before. I don't know where the fuck Paddock was during the LA riots. I have no fucking idea where Paddock was before 2017. You know, he ain't got no fucking MySpace and shit, which would have been the LA riots days. But yeah, I don't know, dude. Where's this guy get this shit?
Property, but in the year before the massacre, he bought 55 weapons. He was twice married and twice divorced. He didn't have any children. In the 2000s, Stephen filled the void with gambling. Video poker became his one true love. By then, he owned a home in Mesquite. It was only an 80-mile drive away from his personal playground, Sin City, Las Vegas. Stephen loved being waited on hand and foot. Some thought he was arrogant and needy. Others were used to it. Vegas high rollers like to put on airs, as my grandma would say. He acted like everyone at the casino worked for him. He'd order the same meal from a different waitress if the first one didn't come fast enough. Gambling.
See, where's he getting this info, dude? Like, I get that, right? He could take that whole statement this guy just made. He could take that whole thing from what Eric said in some of his public things. You know, he could take that whole, you know, he could kind of get the demeanor of Paddock from what Eric has said. But he's going into extreme fucking detail here. You know, the if one waitress is too slow, he get another to bring his food. I mean, where is he getting that? I've never heard that before.
Was his social life. It made him feel special and important. He gambled enough to earn free rooms at the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino. The staff knew him by face and name. When Mr. Paddock was in town, everyone jumped to help him. It's how casinos work. Wine and dine the high rollers. His appetite for gambling is why many assumed Stephen was in debt with the casino. Is that why he unloaded on the Harvest Fest that night and took his...
No, it wasn't, bro, because he paid all that shit off. He wasn't in debt with anybody. Fuck, man. What the fuck, dude? Serious, bro.
His own life? No. According to Mandalay Bay and other casinos on the Strip, Stephen was in good standing. He had a $100,000 credit limit, which he barely used. He could afford to lose $30, $40, $50, even $60,000. According to...
So he had a $100,000 credit limit that he never used, but you're saying that he was in debt to these casinos to the point... dude, what the fuck, man? Where are you going with this?
To a gaming industry analyst, Stephen could lose up to $100,000 in one session and be okay. He was a professional poker player who planned every move, especially his last, most deadly day. Remember those room service cards Stephen asked the staff to leave behind? He used those to set up security cameras outside his room and at the peephole. They weren't recording, but they were live feeding back to his laptop. He could see people coming and going in the hall. Mandalay Bay Security.
Is that something that was ever said? I mean, I guess, you know, we got to assume, but yeah, I don't know.
Security systems recorded Stephen.
Because the one that was on the cart, the one on the bottom of the cart was feeding to a monitor that came with the ANRAN system that he was using. There was that camera on the bottom that he taped to the bottom. The camera that was on top of the cart was supposedly, I mean, we can assume, unless there's some sort of Wi-Fi shenanigans going on, we can assume was feeding to, and I believe that's the Hewlett Packard laptop that was sitting on the cart in, I keep saying 129, 134, sitting in 134 there. And we can also, I guess, assume, because of the cables, that the peephole camera was feeding to the laptop that was sitting on the bar in 135. So yeah, I guess.
Stephen opening, closing, and locking the doors in both rooms repeatedly. Around 9:30 that night, he locks the deadbolt in room 135. Shortly after, Jason Aldean begins his act to close out the Harvest Festival. That's when Stephen deadbolts room 134, sealing himself inside with his armory. Around 10 p.m., a Mandalay
But we're not going to talk about that weird interaction with the door from the outside. Oh, whatever.
security guard named Jesus Campos.
Look at him, looking good, man. Looking good. When did he take that picture, man? He was fucking in high school. He had a beard in high school.
Arrives on the 32nd floor to investigate an open door alert in a different guest's room. But when he arrives at the stairwell door, it's blocked. He takes the long way around only to
It's not locked, bro, but okay. Let's hear your explanation.
find someone sealed the door shut with an L bracket. He radios.
Okay, you just said it was locked, bro. Now you're saying there's an L bracket. I mean, I get it because I went through all this shit, but I mean, come on, man. Come on, stay on target.
Down at 10:04, alerting security to the barricaded door. They send a maintenance worker to come and fix the problem. Jesus knows something isn't right. That's
Now I'm not going to Monday morning quarterback all that bullshit because yeah, I mean, there's yeah, that did kind of happen. Yeah, it just in a different order.
when he hears a pop pop come from room 135. Stephen fires the first shots at 10:05 p.m. By 10:06,
He heard a pop from room 135. What the fuck? Where'd you find that, bro? Like, what fucking gave you that information? Like, that's weird. That was never in any of the statements.
he's fired over 100 bullets into the crowd. Meanwhile, Jesus moves towards the room.
Again, I'm not gonna Monday morning quarterback that because I don't think it was over 100 bullets into the crowd at that point. 105. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the first volley was anymore.
Room to investigate. Stephen sees him on his camera and shoots through the door. One of the 35 bullets hits Jesus in the leg. He takes cover and radios about an active shooter on the 32nd floor.
Oh, yeah, and this was another problem that he had. How many rounds did he say he fired? 35, I think he said.
Jesus in the leg. He takes
Come on. I got to rewind better.
him. By 10:06, he's fired over 100 bullets into the crowd. Meanwhile, Jesus moves towards the room to investigate. Stephen sees him on his camera and
So how do you know he moved towards the room to investigate? Where'd you get that from? That's not in anything at all. And I don't think that bullshit even happened. He said he was in front of 129 when he got shot at, which lines up with all the bullet holes right outside of 129. So I'm thinking that's probably more closer to the truth that he was checking that 129 door and probably wanted to get the fuck out of there in case whatever the fuck was happening was crazy. And yeah, he ended up getting shot at while he was messing with that door.
shoots through the door. One of the 35 bullets hits
35 bullets, right? 35. Where are you getting 35 from? I mean, I don't remember how many bullets were missing. Yeah, I don't think he ever moved towards that room either. I agree with you. Yeah, it wasn't, well, we could say this much. It wasn't 35 bullets shot at Jesus Campos. If anything, you can say, if you want to say that there were 35 bullets in total shot down that hallway, I'd have to look at the guns again and see what, how many rounds were missing from the magazine on the gun that was shot down that hallway. But my memory was it was 32 in total. And I want to say it was 32 because we have an outline of the entirety of the hallway and every strike in the hallway. But there were a couple that were kind of screwball that you could say it was, I think it was between 32 and 34 because there were a couple grazes that they didn't account for the actual projectile itself or for where it landed. So, there were a couple of, bullet struck this. Okay, well, what does that mean? A bullet hit it, but where did it fucking land? Type of stuff. But I don't believe it was 35 bullets just in one volley at Jesus. It was, oh God, I forget how many ended up. It's like 11 of them, I think, ended up landing in that alcove with 129. And I don't remember how many ended up landing over there by where he ended up at, which was, I can't remember, 121, 120. No, it'd be the other side of the room. It would have been 120 and 122. I believe he ended up between those two. And I think there were only like 3 or 4 shots down there. And there were a couple that were down the center of the hallway that could have been at him also. But it wasn't 35 because there weren't. My recollection is there were only 32 in total that were accounted for down that hallway, which means, between 32 and I believe 34, if my memory serves me right, which means not every bullet was fired in that first volley. Not every one of those 30, let's say it was 35 shots total because it's close. And not every one was fired at Jesus in that first volley. You still had Shuck to deal with within this mess. And he did get shot at. Whether or not he was hit or not, I don't fucking know.
Jesus in the leg. He takes cover and radios about an active shooter on the 32nd floor. That's when the maintenance worker arrives. Clueless about what's happening, Jesus screams at him to get down. He likely saved the man's life. Steven turns his attention back toward the festival. He fires hundreds more rounds in the next 60 seconds. He even...
Okay, so what he's doing here is he's integrating the two. So he's basically pushing Shuck and Jesus together in the hallway at the same time, being shot at the same time is what he's doing here, which, it's not accurate. Again, it's Monday morning quarterbacking. It's fine, I guess.
Took a few pot shots at jet fuel storage tanks over 2,000 feet away. Thankfully, jet fuel is mostly kerosene and doesn't explode from gunfire like in the movies. Meanwhile, 2 Las Vegas police officers responding to a different call are already on their way up. He's not
going to talk about the double walls and stuff like that, but that's fine. It's fine. Whatever.
However, stop on the 31st floor right under Steven's room. The final shots ring out at 10:15 p.m. Steven used his revolver to put one last shot through his own head. By then, the damage was done. 58 people were dead on the ground. Over 500 others were wounded, some critically. 400 more were injured during the mad dash to safety.
Yeah, he's conflating a lot of that too. My memory was 417 were injured in total. I think that was, I thought that was total. I thought that was bullets and stampeding and all that bullshit, that was going on with that, probably broken ankle, shit like that. But 417, I thought reported in total. I don't think that included the 58. Oh, come on, man. Really? You gonna do this?
Welcome, Captain David.
You little bastard. He does do a lot of work in these videos, man. I mean, I'm shit talking this video a little bit, but
Police blew the doors off Stephen's room at 11:20 p.m., more than an hour after he opened fire. They recovered 24 guns from the room, 18 more from his house in Mesquite, and another 7.
All right, wait. Since we were talking about this, I want to go back on that. Where is it? Damn it. He only did it for a brief second. Here, hold on.
Picture the weapons you'd use in a Call of Duty game. Besides the weapons, they found covered 24 guns from the room.
Asshole saying shit like that. All right, so there's your cooler. There's the of course after the breach as everything is. Yeah, I mean there's the ice chest. Unless somebody moved it to take that picture, man, that thing's perfectly sitting up there. And you can see the lid's on the fucking floor, man. So the lid flew off of it. Lid didn't fly very far, but I mean, considering that's just styrofoam and doesn't have a lot of mass and weight, I guess it wouldn't fly. But I don't know. That's always been strange, man. That ice chest's always been a strange thing.
Room, 18 more from his house in Mesquite, and another 7 from a home in Reno. They were all outfitted with all kinds of attachments. Picture the weapons you'd use in a Call of Duty game.
Bro, Call of Duty? You're pulling Call of Duty into this shit? Like, no, dude. I don't even think you can get an AR-15 in Call of Duty, man. Call of Duty is military-grade weaponry. I don't think you're going to find an AR-15. I mean, not to say they can't do a lot of fucking damage. They're guns, man. They're meant to do damage. But fuck me, man. Come on.
Besides the weapon,
this dude is like not a 2-8 guy, obviously.
They found power tools, a small sledgehammer, and glass cutters. They also discovered a snorkel and scuba mask, most likely a homemade gas mask.
Can't believe there was a glass cutter, if I remember right. Yeah, I think he's right on that. He didn't talk about suction cups, though, man.
4 laptops and 3 cell phones were in his room. When they checked them out, they found searches for other targets. He'd been looking for, quote, Summer Concerts 2017, biggest open-air concert venues in USA, and how crowded does Santa Monica Beach get? They also found several hundred images of child pornography, according to the preliminary police report.
I like how he says, according to the preliminary police report. So was that not in the final? I didn't even notice that.
They did not find was a note. Well, that's not exactly true. The SWAT team did find a note near Stephen's shooting platform, but it wasn't the kind of note you're thinking of. It was handwritten numbers for wind trajectory and distance between his room and the festival. He knew exactly.
I don't think there was any wind trajectory on there, but yeah. I had someone actually explain that note to me, and it makes sense, man. It's not in feet, yards, all that bullshit. I mean, some of it was, but it's in what they call mils, which is what they use for long distance shooting. So yeah, that note actually did line up, which was crazy.
Exactly where to aim to hit his targets. Like I said, Stephen was always a numbers guy. Early theories assumed Stephen had an accomplice. Those of us on the ground figured there was more than one shooter. There were too many shots being fired for just one guy. According to the FBI, there's no evidence suggesting Stephen had any help. With some technical know-how, you can illegally modify a semi-auto rifle to fire like an automatic. That's what.
With some technical know-how? What the fuck, dude? He didn't alter these guns, man. He didn't.
Stephen did, using what's called bump stocks. In the early days.
Yeah, that's technically not altering a weapon. That's adding an attachment to a weapon, you dumb shit. But I mean, I'm not a gun guy, dude, at all. But come on, dude. This guy definitely does not like the guns, man.
The terror organization ISIS claimed Stephen was working with them. This was proven false, and the FBI has found no links between ISIS and the Vegas shooting. Some conspiracy theorists would beg to differ. In their final report in 2000,
love that. Some conspiracy theorists would beg to differ.
2018, the FBI could not determine a rock-solid motive. They answered the who, what, where, when, and how, but never the why. In 2023, the FBI released new files that offer a few more clues about Stephen's motives. A gambling buddy said Stephen.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go with the nonsense. Now, I'm going to say this before we get to the bullshit that is going to be the last 4 minutes of this video. This is actually a decent video, man. Now, I was something me and somebody else talked about back in the day is these videos like this, man, they're not meant for us. You know, they're not meant for the people that actually looked at this and paid attention to this. This is meant for the people that didn't pay attention to any of this, that don't know much about this. So, you know, the video is actually pretty good for what it is, man. It kind of gives an overview of what happened, and it may have some fucked up details that are wrong, but nevertheless, it still does its job. It's a good video that kind of tells the story for the most part, you know, with a little bit of a spin on it. And yeah, this guy does, have his own kind of narrative behind it. But, you know, it's a good video for what it is, or up to this point. Now's where we get fucking bonkers.
Stephen was upset by how the casino was treating him and other high rollers. Stephen lived for the red carpet treatment, but he felt it was fading fast. There were no more free flights, cruises, or hotel rooms. Casinos began banning people who were winning too much. Stephen himself was booted from 3 casinos in Reno alone. He also seemed to be on a losing streak before the attack. According to the FBI, he was down about 1.5 million. But then again, with all his assets, it could be argued he had that to spare. He was also checking out other targets that had nothing to do with gambling. He even had a room booked in Chicago overlooking Lollapalooza in August 2017. There was a working theory that Stephen's mental health was going downhill. He began obsessing over his father's criminal history and wanted to follow in daddy's footsteps.
Now, if this guy would have ended it like right here, I'd be like, yeah, you did solid, bro. I mean, you're guessing on some of this shit. Some of it I actually agree with, man. Like the comps disappearing on him and shit like that. I've talked to other high roller gamblers since then. Not gonna say how all that happened, but that said the same thing. Said that exact same thing. One guy, you know, was a high roller, a high stakes. What do you call it? He had a YouTube channel. That's how I kind of ran into him, and he had a high stakes video poker habit. And in one of his videos, he actually, and I think I actually put this up on here. I think it's one of my past videos. He actually came out and he talked to some guy, and the guy started talking about Stephen Paddock, and he cut the video, which is why I wrote him to say, hey, what was the rest of that? I want to see the rest of that video, bro. And basically he came out and said the same thing. He said, you know, the common belief between the people who were video poker players is that he was fucking losing his shit because the comps they've been treating us like shit, the casinos, and they're trying to get rid of the video poker players, the high limit video poker players, for other fucking games, you know, all the other slots and stuff like that makes more money. And because video poker players get, you know, their money back in comps, and they're kind of not the greatest revenue generator for the casino. So that was his idea, that, yeah, he's just pissed off because of all that.
His girlfriend said he was more distant in the months before he opened fire. In April 2023, a public records request uncovered letters written between Stephen and his buddy.
And here we go, the Jimmy Nixon letters. Now we get to where, you know, things go off the fucking rails.
An ex-convict by the name of Jim Nixon. The police had been sitting on these letters since November 2017, when they were found in one of Stephen's old buildings in Texas. Jim was worried about his friend. He wrote, I can get someone.
See, like, bro, like we went through all this, right? Why do you write your own address at the top of a letter? And that's kind of what I put in a comment for this guy. The one, he deleted the first comment that I put for him, and then I posted another one. And as far as I know, that one's still up. But yeah, these letters are just squirrely, you know. And I wanted to believe them too, that they were legit. But I wasn't willing to go out like this and say, well, these are legit. No, they're not.
who can help you. Please don't go out shooting or hurting people who did nothing to you. Jim allegedly sent those letters between 2013 and June 2017. One mentioned that Stephen had been cooking up a plan for 3 years. This plan would allegedly manifest in Nevada,
He does say
California,
allegedly.
Illinois,
Oh,
Texas, New York, and other cities. In one of his final letters, Jim wrote, "I believe you are lying to me and you are going to hurt someone or kill someone. You sounded like a real madman on the phone tonight." Jim never reported his concerns to the police because he didn't.
So if this is the guy that was asking me for these letters, he did get them somehow from somebody. But I mean, yeah, okay. You're saying allegedly. Maybe you don't believe it completely. You failed to admit that or mention that he said he worked for the CIA as well, but I don't think that's even coming up in this. Let's see.
Think Stephen would actually do something. "I couldn't read his mind," he said. If Jim had said something, would it have mattered? Stephen was legally allowed to own as many guns as he wanted. At that point, his only interaction.
Oh, if you want to find this video, it's right here. This is the guy's channel, True Crime Recaps. And it's not that old of a video. It's probably only like 5 or 6 videos back. Excuse me. I think this guy only does like a video every couple weeks or some shit like that. And this is only a couple months old, if I remember right. It's like 8 months old or something.
With police had been traffic stops. Sadly, we may never know why Stephen Paddock unloaded on 22,000 innocent people that day. Conspiracy theories have populated the internet, but they're more like bad wine. They have no legs and they don't age well. All we know is that in the end, 60
Very
lives
funny.
were lost and thousands more changed forever. The only person who knows why put a bullet through his brain. Now, before I go, I'd like to bring it back to my personal story for just one more moment. This all happened back in 2017, but just about 2 months ago, we were all in Vegas again with the same band to do another outdoor show with another towering hotel in the vicinity, this time in front of the stage. After our show, as we were packing up, as in most cases, there was a small group of fans on the ground in front of the stage, hoping to score a souvenir like a guitar pick or a set list or a drumstick or something like that. But there was one woman standing there just holding a sign above her head that simply read, "I survived Route 91. As I looked around the stage at our crew packing up, trying to find someone to identify with to say, "Hey, look," I realized that I was the only one on that stage that had been there that night. In the years that had passed, a lot of the folks that were there had gone on to other things and new people had come in. So I walked over to the edge of the stage, made eye contact with the woman with the sign, and I said, "You know, I was there too." Then she lowered her sign down in front of her, smiled, and said something I will never forget. "I am so happy that you're here. We're so happy that you could be here with us today. Thank you for stopping by. And until next time, please take care." And that's your recap.
All right. So anyway, let me get that off screen. Let me figure out how to work StreamYards again. I'm going to stop the sharing. All right, there we go. So that was that, man. I mean, it's all good, dude. You know, but the like I said, the video is good for what it is. You know, he kind of tells the story in his own way. I just remember when I first watched, I was thinking, man, what does this guy know, dude? Where does he get all this information, man? How does he know about Paddock? How does he know about Paddock's hopes and dreams and all this bullshit? But again, military grade weaponry. It's probably just nonsense. So what were we going to look up? We were going to look something up earlier. I can't remember what it was. The luggage. That's an easy one. So I want to do that. Dude, there's still no the jury's still deliberating on this fucked up trial. Still deliberating, dude. Like, come on, man. Are you guys kidding? Like, dude, there was so much evidence there, man. Let's see. So what was I looking up? I was going to look up the New York Times. So I remember their stuff was fairly decent. All right, let's do this. Let's go to StreamYards. Let's remember how to use StreamYards. Let's see. I believe it's that one. Yeah, it should be that one. New York Times. All right, there we go.
Scale that has confounded the public and investigators too. The amateur and police footage of that night is horrifying. But by forensically analyzing these clips, we are able to draw perhaps the most complete picture to date of what happened.
Oh, you're
We
watching.
lined up
dude?
the sound of gunfire in different
Crazy,
videos,
dude. Like,
and
what
using
the
the
hell,
hour, minute,
man?
and second these clips were recorded, we mapped over 30 videos on a timeline covering the entire event. More evidence will emerge, and this is not the definitive picture,
He has DNA.
but
in
this
their
reconstruction
fingernails.
puts
What
you, the viewer,
fuck,
at the
man?
concert. We show what it must have felt like to be caught
Okay.
away and calculated his elevation and distance from the crowd.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
He's checking that the range and trajectory of his
Yeah. I'm trying to get to the toilet. Oh, this is just the event.
it's the first of 12 bursts Paddock fired at the festival.
Yeah, this is the wrong video.
More
I'm not even looking at the right video here. Shit, I didn't even realize they had multiple videos of this. Let's turn this off. Because it was the luggage. The luggage. Let's see. Let's make shooting New York Times. Okay, it's this one. Yeah, this is the. Let me put it back up.
the Mandalay Bay Hotel, playing video poker for hours in the casino, buying snacks at a newsstand, watching a LeBron James interview in a restaurant,
Love how they gave this.
and at times chatting with
they
hotel
gave this
staff.
guy with this sweet ass.
But this picture of an ordinary gambler, he checks into a suite on the 32nd floor
Here we go.
and books an adjoining room, which he will check into 4 days later. He doesn't immediately bring in suitcases. Instead, he spends 2 hours in the hotel, going to his room and eating at a sushi restaurant downstairs.
Yep.
Just before 5 p.m., he drives his Chrysler Pacifica minivan to the valet area, where a bellman loads the luggage cart
Okay,
with
so
5
yeah,
suitcases.
see, he did have a bellman that first.
Paddock asks to stay with his luggage,
I
so the
thought that
bellman
was
brings him
correct.
through the service elevators to his room. Something hotel management say is not.
So yeah, that's what I thought happened. He went and he parked in regular parking because he wasn't gonna bring all that shit up himself. So he parked in regular parking, got his room, did his sushi thing, waited for the room to get done. It looks like, and then probably ran up there, which is interesting. I just thought about that, man, because he showed up, I think, about 2:00. Rooms aren't usually ready till 3:00. So I wonder if that's why he ended up doing the sushi thing. Because, but even though the sushi thing was next to the carport, so it's hard to say, man. But I mean, it's not that big of a hotel, dude. So like, he could have went to the desk, said, "I'm here." They said, "All right, we'll let you know when it's ready." And then he went and did the sushi thing. And then about 5:00, went, got his car, moved it to valet, so he wouldn't have to bring the stuff up himself. That's what I'm guessing. But yeah, that first day he did have a bellman. He did use a bellman the first day. That's what I was kind of. That's, I think, what the argument was here. But yeah, that's. Let me get this off screen here real quick. I want to see what the fucking verdict shit is going on here. Let's get off of this. If I can find it. And I don't know how many of you are actually paying attention to this. Hold on a sec. Give me a commercial. But this has actually been very interesting. And yeah, I really don't know how many people are even paying attention to this at all. Because I mean, it's not everybody's cup of tea, man. Not everybody really cares to watch jury bullshit. But you know, I don't even really watch a lot of this stuff. But this has been an interesting one because this Robert Tellis guy allegedly murdered a reporter. reporter that was the main reporter that was doing all the reporting of the Route 91 back in the day for the Las Vegas Review-Journal. And they're still deliberating, which is weird, man. It's weird. No, on the first day, what I believe happened was he went in there with his laptop bag, and he looks like he left the laptop upstairs, because I don't think he was carrying it in the video when they went back up to the room with the bags. I don't think he had the laptop with him. So I think what he did was he left the laptop in the room, and then he came back down. Probably did the sushi thing. They may have let him check in early. Who knows? I know early check-in can be like 1 o'clock, I believe. And then late checkout sometimes is 1 o'clock as well, if I remember right. Might be 2 o'clock, might be the early check-in. And then 1 o'clock is late. I don't remember. But probably more like that. But because normal checkout is 11 o'clock in the morning. Normal check-in is, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So he got there about 2 o'clock, I believe, if I remember right. I have to watch that video again. But I believe he got there about 2 o'clock, which means the room wouldn't necessarily have been ready unless nobody was in there, and then the maids already hit it. Because back then they had maids every day doing all the rooms. I don't think they do anymore since COVID. And I think that's another way to save money, is that they don't have the maids hitting all the rooms, so they don't have to have as much of a staff. But, it's a lot of that making up for the COVID time. I believe what happened is he went down there, got his room. It looks like he went up because they have that picture of him in the elevator bank, which is weird because it's not video. It's a still taken from video, and it has no timestamp on it. It has the timestamp, I believe, written into it. I believe it says estimated on that. And I believe that's because basically what it is the still frame of a video, because I believe that's taken from a video camera. Oh, man, what just happened? What just happened? Watch them strike my video and shit. Fucking long crime. Wow, they're done for the day. Are they really done for the day? 4:30? Yeah, looks like they're done for the day, man. How can you? I don't get it, dude. I don't fucking get it, man. Yeah, that's a weird one, dude. If you're interested, man, that's they had Levi on the stand. Whew. What the hell did you start playing? Yeah, I don't want to watch that. Yeah, that's a very interesting fucking jury trial, man, because it had a lot of people there from the LVMPD. Had some guy named Jappy that I swear to God, dude, I know I've seen his name on reports. And then it had Levi. Levi went on stand. So, yeah, watching Tellus was that was something else, man. Watching that guy talk, man, go up there and just slam himself. That was horrible, dude. But like, to me, what was interesting about that whole thing, man, the whole interaction with just him, not even the rest of this nonsense that they were going through, just fucking him, dude, is he went up there, and he's a cocky prick, dude. I mean, he went up in the beginning when he wanted to represent himself, and he was just being kind of an asshole. Because I remember when this trial started, I was kind of interested in it because he wanted to represent himself. And that was right after that other dude in fucking like Wisconsin or whatever ran all those people over, represented himself and looked like a total ass doing it. So I was kind of interested in this trial. I'm like, oh man, it's always, always entertaining when you represent yourself. But yeah, Tellus went up there, and yeah, just me, man, watching him. He's like, he's all nervous and shit. He's up there and he's saying he's nervous. He's telling you he's nervous. He's saying that, to the jury, oh, I'm really nervous. I'm sorry I stumbled my words and stuff like that. And he's sitting forward, he's engaged and all that sort of bullshit, right? Doing what he's got to do to play the role. And then all of a sudden the prosecution gets up there, man. The prosecution starts laying into him. And as soon as that prosecution lays into him, he leans back and he's cocky as shit, man. He's just a cocky prick. He ain't nervous no more. It was weird. And then when you're watching closing statements, that channel, I believe it's that channel, had both a picture of him. Yeah, it's a big conspiracy. Yeah, the cops. So, yeah, his whole thing is fucking nuts, dude. He thinks that this realty company was making millions of dollars, which they probably are, off of this, because it's a total scam what they're pulling off that he was trying to stop, which, you know, I've said this before, dude. He was doing a good job at what he was doing. It just doesn't justify you murdering somebody. But, you know, he was going after this realty company. They're making millions of dollars. Somehow they went, and when the reporter started fucking tanking his career, because the reporter was talking about all the nasty shit that the people in the office didn't like him for, he goes out, and this realty company goes out and murders that reporter that just tanked his fucking career because they don't like him. They don't like this guy, so they murder the reporter that's against this guy. It's just really weird. It makes no fucking sense. It's just bizarre. And that, you know, there's a team of assassins working for this, you know, this weird ass realty company. And somehow they were able to, you know, not just have somebody murk this dude and, you know, do that whole fucking nonsense, drive a car that was identical to this guy's wife's car. Why you drive your wife's car to do something like that? That's fucking dirty, man. This guy's just, he's a piece of work. Yeah, so that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And then, you know, after they murk this dude, man, they go back to his house and somehow plant a bunch of evidence in his house that he never finds, that the police later find. But then he was trying to say that the police planted the evidence because then you have the cell phones with all the video and the pictures and stuff like that. It's just crazy. Yeah, that kind of sucked, dude. I mean, I felt bad for that poor girl, right? You know, and I know it's like she's having an affair, right, with this guy, this married guy. She probably knew he was married, most likely. But you know, that sucks, man. She had to go up on the stand and talk about having an affair with this guy that just fucking murked somebody, allegedly. That's bad. That's bad. She was even talking about how, and her testimony was actually interesting. You know, she was talking about how she started suspecting him. Of doing this stuff because she started calling him or started texting him, and they had all her text messages and asking him like, "Hey, tell me you don't have a fucking rack on top of your car or your wife's car." And he's like, "Yep, I do, but it wasn't me." And then she's like, "Well, tell me you don't have like custom rims on your wife's car." "Oh yeah, I do, but that wasn't me." Fucking. And then she I guess told him she wasn't coming in the office next day. She's not working there no more. She's done. So she was a little fucking nervous. Imagine being that person, having to deal with that fucking shit on your conscience. Because even though, like, I talked to somebody about this yesterday, because I have friends that are watching this trial, and you know, it's like this this lady is so screwed, you know, that how did it go? I totally lost that train of thought. Man, there's just so much going on in that thing. It's just I totally lost that train of thought. The better one that's out there that finished already is the Karen Reed trial. And that one is jacked up because that's basically the opposite of this. Well, it looks like that one's based off a bunch of dirty cops, and some dirty cop fucking murked another dirty cop and then blamed it on the fucking girlfriend, which that one's fucking nuts. And if you like the Telus trial, you should watch that. You should check out that. In fact, because it's very cringe. The whole thing is cringe, dude. I can't even get through some of the statements on that trial because it's absolute fucking cringe. Let's see. And I don't know if you saw what I put down last night, but I'll show you right here a little bit so you get an idea. All right, so these guys are actually pretty good. I like these guys.
What we've been waiting for.
Okay, so last night I did a video about these guys. I already talked about these guys a little bit on my random thing I did last night. These dudes, LV Cops TV, that's the name of their channel. You can see it on the screen there. These dudes used to be Las Vegas Metro. They have a story. If you look it up, you got to look up this LV Cops TV, and you have to look up October 1st, and they'll tell you they go through their story of where they were. The one guy on the right was there during the breach. I think that's him. I don't know. There's a couple different guys that host the show. The guy on the left's always there. But they're talking about this Karen Read trial. And this is so god awful, cringe, hard to watch nonsense because these cops are talking shit about this girl through text messages, and they're bringing them up on the stand, and they're making them read the text messages about them calling her a whore and calling her all kinds of fucked up names, dude. And it's just rotten. And this one here is a guy who was hitting on her that I guess was kind of suspected or alleged to have maybe been the guy who murked the cop. And he was hitting on her the night this all went down, it looks like. And then he blamed her. They all blamed her. Like, is this like some small town out there in bumfuck nowhere and like down there by Boston somewhere? But I guess it involves Boston cops and then some small town called Canton. And then this guy's like an ATF agent. So there's like all kinds of fucking weird shit going on here. But this actually does look like it's a legit conspiracy. It's fucked up. And let's see if I can find just a little bit of him testifying. Because like I said, this is cringe, dude. It's hard. It's hard to get through. But these guys do a good job breaking this stuff down. So I like watching them.
To date her, to get involved with her, romantically, correct?
No.
The real deal.
Wow.
What did you mean by I want the real deal?
Yeah. Bam, bam.
What
Thank
kind
you,
of
officer.
relationship? A buddy relationship? You just want to go
Yeah.
The same thing everybody wants, a real relationship.
like a romantic relationship, Mr. Higgins?
Oh.
Possible.
Yeah.
Right. And she was answering with things like,
He's like, oh, you got it.
now what? She answered,
I gotta say it.
I don't know. Correct?
Yes, she did.
When you asked, so now what?
So basically, what it sounds like is happening here, right? And like I said, this is why it's so fucking cringe, man. This dude is hitting on this chick that's dating another cop. This guy knows the guy she's dating, and he's actually hitting on her through text messages, basically saying he wants to bang the shit out of her. And you know, the whole time, you know, she's with this other fucking cop, and then they think, or at least, you know, some people are speculating, let's say, that this dude may be the one that got in the fight with the guy that ended up with him not making it, you know, because it sounds like they beat the shit out of this guy, left him out in a blizzard, and he fucking froze to death. But, you know, they're trying to fucking say that she did it, that she accidentally hit him with her car, never knew she hit him with the car, but accidentally hit him with the car and fucking murked him. So it's kind of crazy. And this trial's done. That's why these guys are kind of going over some of the testimony in it. But it's really kind of like some of it's really hard to watch, man, because these guys are just shit talking her. And then this guy's hitting on her, and he's reading the text messages right now in this scene here where he's hitting on her, and he's saying he wants to fucking, you know, mess around with her and behind her, you know, boyfriend's back. And she's in the courtroom too for this whole thing. So it's just cringe, man. It's fucking horrible. But if you're interested, that's another one. And again, these this channel, these Las Vegas LV Cops TV, they're pretty good, man. I like them. I really like them. They have an October 1st one where they talk about you know what happened on October 1st with them. One of them was there for the breach. One of them was I said last night, and I think if I remember right, I didn't watch the video again, but I think he was like guarding a hospital or something like that, or an intersection or something. I don't remember. But the other guy was actually up there on the breach, and he shows where he was during the breach. He was in the Bitsko. I can remember his name now. Couldn't remember last night. He was in the Bitsko body cam. But anyway, I think I'm done with this for now. I just came on to, because I had some time, and then just catching up. You know, these are the only real things that have come out Vegas related that I've found. Again, these guys, let me see if I can find the video for it. If you look up the LV Cops TV October 1st, is so here we go.
And he was just in fear for his life, just like everybody else.
But see,
Or
they
a
have
shooter
finished
now
the
back
stories,
at
like-
Mandalay Bay
Here we go.
by the pool. So we jump on the fire truck. Me, Mike, and the two other gang officers, we jump on the fire truck, and now we're riding back to Mandalay Bay on the side of the fire truck, which was actually pretty cool. And when we get to Mandalay Bay, we jump off, we go right to the pool, again, as a four-man element. The FD stayed behind. It was a guy hiding in the bushes.
Yeah.
He wasn't an active shooter. He didn't even have a gun. He
Yeah.
was just in fear for his life, just like everybody else. So he was hiding in the bushes. We got him, told him where to go. Then we hooked up with the MACTAC team and SWAT at the front of Mandalay Bay. I hooked up with
Yeah, so that's a little bit of them. I mean, if you're interested in them, then they're actually very good. That this was a very good video, very good listen. But you got to look it up because they did this video quite a while ago. I don't remember when this video was done, but you got to look up LV Cops TV and then October 1st. And I believe it was Diane A that showed me this video, man. So thanks to her, man. She finds some crazy shit out there once in a while, dude. She's helped me more than I can imagine with this stuff. Anyway, but yeah, that's about it. That's about it. So yeah, you guys have a good night. Stay safe out there. Till next time.